The air inside the council building was cooler than outside, and yet Amaka's palms were damp. The secretary's office smelled faintly of paper, polish, and confidence. A large calendar on the wall showed smiling officials at an old festival, their faces framed by ribbons of color. Behind the desk sat Madame Ebiri, the council secretary, elegant, calm, the kind of woman whose words made phones stop ringing. She wore a neat floral blouse with a brooch shaped like a leaf and small glasses that rested on the bridge of her nose. A silver phone lay face down beside a cup of zobo. Her expression was not unfriendly, but it was firm, like a teacher who had seen too many excuses. "Good afternoon, ma," Amaka greeted softly, bowing slightly. "Otutu o ma." Madame Ebere looked up briefly. "Afternoon, my dear. Sit down." Her voice was polite, measured. "How can I help you?" Amaka smiled and handed over the folder. "Ma, I'm Amaka Onusu from Ogbefe in Kem's Kindred. We are organizing the Enugu Youth and Culture Festival. We wish to book the Inike Community Hall for the event next month. The letter is attached with our budget and endorsement." Madame Eberi opened the folder, flipping each page carefully. She nodded at the logo, the stamp, the signatures. "Everything looks fine," she said, then paused. "Except this. Where is the receipt for administrative processing?" Amaka's stomach dropped. "Receipt?" she asked, eyes wide. "Yes, the 20,000 naira processing fee. It must be paid at the council cashier's office before your letter is accepted," Madame Ebiri replied, still calm. "Didn't they tell you?" "No, ma. I didn't know." The secretary smiled kindly, but her eyes stayed sharp. "It's okay. Mistakes happen. Go to the cashier's office down the hall, pay, bring the receipt back. I'll sign your letter immediately." "Thank you so much, ma," Amaka said, standing quickly. "God bless you." Chisom waiting outside noticed her tense face. "What happened?" "Processing fee," she whispered. 10,000. He frowned. "Do you have cash?" "No, only transfer. And they might not take transfer." "Let's check first," he said. They walked briskly down the hall. The cashier's office was small, with peeling paint and an old desktop computer humming on a corner table. Two women counted notes beside a box fan that rotated tiredly. A man in a checked shirt sat behind the counter, typing slowly. "Good afternoon, sir," Amaka greeted. "Please, we need to pay for the community hall processing fee." The man barely looked up. "Cash only, no POS, no transfer." She opened her purse. "I only have 5,000. Chisom checked his wallet. "I have 4,000. "That's 9. Can you collect and we'll bring the balance? Be cool." The man shook his head. "No balance. Come complete." Amaka exhaled hard. "Let's find an ATM." They stepped outside into the heat. The nearest bank was 3 streets away. The ATM line coiled like a lazy snake. A woman in line said, "Network slow since morning, no." Another added, "The first machine they swallow pad." Amaka rubbed her forehead. It was 1:10 p.m. They had less than an hour. "Maybe we should try the POS stand," Chisom suggested. They hurried to a kiosk painted yellow and blue. The young attendant shook his head when she asked for 10,000. "No cash. People just withdraw finish. I feel give 5. "That will make it 10, she said quickly. "We will take it." He counted the notes and handed them over. Amaka paid a small charge and they sprinted back to the council. Inside, the cashier looked at the notes, counted slowly again, wrote a receipt by hand, stamped it and handed it over. "Next," he said flatly. Amaka glanced at her phone, 1:45 p.m. They ran back to Madame Ebere's office, but this time the secretary outside shook her head. Madame has stepped out. She just left for the commissioner's briefing. Amaka blinked. Left? But she said she will sign when you bring the receipt, the woman interrupted gently. She's gone for the day, maybe tomorrow morning before she travels. The words hit like rain after ironing clothes, sharp, unwanted. Tomorrow? She echoed. Yes, the woman said, already turning back to her papers. By 9 a.m. latest. But if she leaves early, you will wait until she returns next week. Amaka stood frozen, receipt still warm in her hand. Chisom sighed quietly. At least we tried. No, she said, voice trembling. We didn't come this far to stop here. They walked out into the courtyard. The sun had softened. Shadows stretched long. People carried files and stories in their arms. Somewhere nearby, a loudspeaker played an old high-life song, Onye Ajuru Ajugoya. The one rejected has been accepted. Amaka sat on a bench and put her head in her hands. I should have asked about the fee first. I should have known. Chisom sat beside her. Don't flog yourself. You prepared well. This one slipped, that's all. I failed at that. Okay, he said no excuses. Failure is not end, Chisom said softly. It's a bend. She looked at him tired but thankful. Sometimes you talk like Bible and TED Talk mix. He smiled faintly. I'm multi-talented. She laughed weakly. Chisom Biku, what will we do now? Tomorrow we return early. We'll be here before even the security opens the gate. Amaka nodded slowly, her mind already rewriting plans. All right, but we must also get something right tonight. What? We will print an extra copy of the letter with the receipt number attached, seal everything properly, and rehearse the greeting. If she arrives early, she must find us ready. That's the spirit, he said. On the drive back, Enugu looked golden in the lowering sun. Vendors packing up, school children walking home, hawkers calling pure water, 100 naira. The city pulsed with its usual promise and noise. But inside the van, silence carried a small ache. Back home, Mama Obi opened the door and saw her daughter's face. What happened, Amaka? Madame Ebere left before we could give her the receipt. She said quietly, no Amme, this life no dey follow our timetable. You will try again. She nodded. Tomorrow. She ate little dinner. Later, she sat on the veranda with her laptop, reprinting documents, stapling carefully, and sealing envelopes like small prayers. The night breeze carried faint sounds of a generator humming down the street. Her phone buzzed. A message from Elder Oke. No, Amme, how did it go? She hesitated, then replied truthfully. We reached, but Madame left. We will return early tomorrow. His reply came a few minutes later. Good. The path tests those who walk it. Tomorrow, go with humility. When you greet, greet with your heart. She smiled faintly. Yes, sir. Before sleeping, she whispered, Chineke, please let her be there when I arrive. She dreamt of a door that opened slowly to light. But morning, as always, had its own ideas.
Roosters had barely finished their second round of crowing when Amaka was already dressed. The morning was still soft with dew, and the street lights blinked out one by one as she zipped her black folder shut. Her mind repeated Elder Oke's words, when you greet, greet with your heart. By 6:15 a.m., Chisom's van honked outside. He wore a sky blue shirt and carried a small flask of coffee. "Ututu oma," he said with a grin. "Ututu oma," Amaka replied, forcing his smile. "Let's go before the sun remembers its job." Enugu's roads were still quiet. Hawkers were arranging wares. The air smelt of freshly baked bread and exhaust. They reached the council compound at exactly 7 a.m. The gates were still closed, guarded by a sleepy man in a brown uniform, sipping tea from a plastic cup. "Good morning, sir," Amaka greeted. "Biku, we have an early appointment with Madame Ebere." The guard squinted at them. "She never reach office, my pikin. Gates go open by 7:30. "No wahala," Chisom said, parking by the side. They waited in the van, half praying, half rehearsing. Amaka practiced her lines softly. "Good morning, Ma. We are here to submit the receipt and finalize the booking. Dauluma." Then she practiced smiling without fear. At 7:35, the gate creaked open. They entered. The same fountain burbled lazily. Cleaners swept the front steps, humming. Amaka clutched the folder as though it were her heartbeat. Inside, the receptionist looked up from her desk. "Ah, you people are Elio." "Yes, ma," Amaka said, smiling. "We came to see Madame Ebere again. Yesterday we missed her." "She's on the way," the woman said kindly. "You can wait in the corridor." They sat. 10 minutes passed. 15. Then, faint high heels clicked on the tiles. Madame Ebere appeared in a neat brown skirt suit, her hair tied in a bun. She looked surprised to see them so early. "Young lady," she said, smiling faintly, "you are persistent." Amaka stood immediately, bowing lightly. "Good morning, ma. Utoto oma. We brought the receipt and updated documents. We came early because we didn't want to disturb you later." "That's good," Madame said. "Come inside." Inside her office, the air smelled faintly of perfume and fresh paper. Amaka handed over the documents. Madame Ebere examined the receipt, flipped through the staple pages, and nodded. "Everything is correct now. You've done well." "Thank you, ma," Amaka said, relief almost trembling in her voice. Madame Ebere picked up her pen and signed at the bottom of the approval letter. The sound of the pen scratching paper felt like a drum beat of victory. Then she stamped the file with the council seal. Bud. Amaka exhaled slowly. Chisom grinned from the doorway. "Young lady," Madame said, handing the signed letter to her, "you remind me of myself years ago. I once came to this office for the same kind of festival. I thought I was ready, but I nearly ruined it because I was in too much hurry. You have learned patience early. That will carry you further than speed ever will." Amaka bowed again. "Dauluma, I'll never forget." Madame waved her off kindly. "Go and make your people proud. And remember, respect opens doors faster than certificates." They left the building into the morning light, the signed letter warm in her hands. Amaka stood still for a second, watching the sun break fully over the roofs of Enugu. "We did it," she whispered. Chisom clapped softly. "We did it, coordinator." She laughed for the first time in 2 days. Now the real work starts. They stopped by a roadside eatery for akara and pap. Amaka's appetite returned with force. "You know," she said between bites, "yesterday I thought everything was over, but maybe the delay was to teach me something." "What did it teach you?" Chisom asked, sipping tea. "That when you run too fast, you miss the sign that says, 'Turn here.' Sometimes God hides lessons inside waiting." "True talk. And maybe that's why Elder Oke sent you on this errand first. It wasn't just about booking a hall. It was about shaping your character. Amaka nodded slowly. He always knows. Old people see far. When she returned home, Mama Obi was in the garden plucking scent leaves. "Noam," she called. "How did it go?" Amaka lifted the signed paper like a trophy. "Mama, it's done. Madame signed everything." Mama smiled so wide that even the neighbors could hear it in her laughter. "Chineke, I told you, patience sweet pass honey when results come." They hugged. The smell of scent leaves and morning breeze filled the air. Amaka felt something calm inside her, a new confidence, but this time, the quiet kind that didn't shout. Later that afternoon, her team gathered under the mango tree in front of their compound. Kosi spread out a sketch of the festival layout. Madu reviewed the budget again. Ifema balanced her calculator on one knee. Kamsi's drone buzzed gently above them, filming the meeting for their online updates. Amaka placed the signed document in the center of the table. "This," she said softly, "is proof that hard work plus humility equals open doors." They clapped, then cheered. "To Enugu Youth Festival!" Kosi shouted. "To Enugu!" They echoed. For a while, laughter replaced stress. But when the noise settled, Amaka turned to them seriously. "My friends, we've crossed the first river, but the next ones will come. Logistics, sponsorship, and crowd management. Let's remember what we learned this week. No rushing, no shortcuts, no pride." Madu nodded. "Leadership is not shouting, it is listening." And walking slowly enough for others to keep up, Ifeoma added. Chisom smiled at her. "You sound like you're writing proverbs now." Amaka chuckled. "Maybe I'm learning the language of our elders after all." That evening, as the sun softened and orange light fell across their compound, Elder Oke arrived slowly with his walking stick. "So," he said, "you faced your first storm." "Yes, sir," Amaka said, bowing, "and I nearly sank." He laughed softly. "No, Ayoma. The first storm is never meant to destroy you, only to show you where your holes are. Did you learn?" "I did," she said sincerely. "To be humble, to ask before assuming, and to wait with faith." "Good. Then you are ready to lead. When the festival begins, remember, the people are not your project, they are your purpose." "Daolusa," she said, eyes wet. As the elder left, evening settled over Enugu, turning rooftops golden. Amaka watched the street lights flicker on one by one, and for the first time, she didn't feel in a hurry to get anywhere. The challenge that had begun in fear had ended in wisdom. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Chineke." Lesson received. Tomorrow, new battles would come. Sponsors might delay, vendors might argue. But tonight, Amaka rested easy, her heart full of calm and her spirit balanced between pride and patience, just as Elder Oke had wanted. The morning of the Enugu Youth and Culture Festival arrived like a song, bright, full, and unstoppable. From Ogubete to Independence layout, the city pulsed with movement. Street vendors arranged coolers of zobo, akara, and puff-puff. Drummers tested their rhythms under canopies. The air was thick with laughter, suya smoke, and excitement. In the middle of all this stood Amaka, the girl who had once doubted herself. She wore a simple but elegant Ankara jumpsuit, bright coral beads around her neck, and a soft smile that spoke of quiet victory. Her phone buzzed every minute, messages from vendors, volunteers, and performers, yet her spirit was calm. "Madam Coordinator," Kamsi called from behind, holding his drone. "You ready?" She laughed.
ready like Okpa for morning breakfast. Chisum joined her, looking proud. Your team came through. Power supply, sound, security, all set. Even the band is rehearsing at the gate. Amaka glanced around the community hall, the same one she had almost lost. Now it was alive with color. Red, yellow, and green ribbons hung from the ceiling. Banners read, Enugu Youth and Culture Festival 2025, Our Heritage, Our Future. Auntie Ngozi waved from the refreshment stand, already serving bottles of moat and cold water. Mama Obi sat near the front, wrapped in a gold lace wrapper, eyes full of pride. She smiled at her daughter the way mothers smile when prayers finally turn into stories they can tell. By 10 a.m., guests began filling the seats. Elders in shiziagu, students in t-shirts, children waving tiny flags. The MC grabbed the microphone. India Nugu, Biko, clap for yourselves. Today, our young people show that when tradition meets modern energy, miracles happen. Applause burst across the hall. Amaka stepped onto the stage, her hands trembling slightly. She greeted the crowd with a warm bow. Ututu Oma, my people, she began. When I first accepted this challenge, I thought leadership meant doing everything fast. But along the way, I learned that true leadership means doing things right, even if it takes time. We almost lost this hall because I was in a hurry, but patience opened the door again. Today, as we celebrate our culture, I want us to remember something. Our progress as a people depends not just on how fast we move, but on how well we walk together. The crowd clapped softly. Elder Oke smiled from the second row, tapping his walking stick with pride. Amaka continued, let us not forget where we came from, our language, our respect, our unity. We can use smartphones and still greet elders with ututuoma. We can build tech businesses and still honor the land that raised us. This festival is proof that old roots can grow new branches. When she finished, the hall rose in applause. The drums rolled, dancers stepped out in their bright costumes, and Kamsi's drone rose into the air, capturing every smile and movement. The performances began. Masquerades, modern dance troupes, spoken word, and a children's play about honesty. Amaka watched from the side, her heart glowing. Everything she had dreamed was happening right in front of her eyes, the harmony between past and present. By afternoon, when the band started playing High Life, even the elders couldn't resist moving their shoulders. Madame Ibere, who had attended quietly, came over to Amaka and whispered, You've done well, my dear. You carry tradition with grace. Thank you, Ma, Amaka replied, bowing. You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. Madame Ebere smiled. No, my dear, you believed. You just didn't know it yet. Outside, children danced under the mango trees while vendors called out their prices. Chisum walked up to Amaka with 2 bottles of moat. For our victory, he said. They clinked bottles and laughed. To patience, Amaka said. To purpose, Chisum replied. As the sun dipped low and orange light washed over the courtyard, Elder Oke stood to address the crowd. My people, he said, his voice steady. Today we witnessed more than a festival. We witnessed a lesson. When pride walks before wisdom, the road becomes slippery. But when patience walks hand in hand with humility, every door opens. The crowd echoed Ezioku, truth. Amaka closed her eyes, breathing in the sound of laughter, drums, and praise. She knew then that the festival was not her achievement alone, it was the village's heartbeat finding its rhythm again. When the lights flickered on at dusk, Kamsi's drone caught the image that would later trend online. Amaka standing in the middle of the crowd, smiling under strings of colored bulbs, her head slightly tilted upward, eyes full of peace. The caption read, She turned a challenge into a celebration. She turned mistakes into lessons. That night, Amaka posted a message on the community page. To everyone who helped, Daolu. You taught me that leadership is not about shining alone, but about lighting the path for others. My friend, if this story touched your heart today, then take this as your own gentle reminder. Never rush your journey. Even when the door seems closed, patience and humility can turn the key. If you enjoyed Amaka's story and want to hear more powerful African tales that blend our modern life with timeless wisdom, please subscribe to Amanda Timeless Stories right now. Tap the like button, share this story with your family and friends, and leave a comment below telling me one lesson you'll carry with you after watching this. Your support helps us keep our culture alive, one story, one heart, one lesson at a time. Stay blessed, stay humble, and always remember, Chineke na elegi anya. God is watching your steps. End of story. Amaka and the Hall of Patience, a modern Igbo folktale.